Hi, how you guys doing? My name is Ogechi Igboanugo. I'm a JNCIE for service provider and also a JNCIE for enterprise environments, and I'm also a CCIE. Okay, today I want to talk about how to study for the JNCIE. I've got some comments, a lot of comments, and people have asked me, how if I can guide them on how they can pass the JNCIE, and so I decided to just make a video. Okay.
So guys, you don't want to be like this person in the picture who is studying and he's like, oh man, there's a lot to study, right? You can see him wavering his hand over his head and everything, frustrated. You don't want to be like that guy, right?
Okay, cool. First of all, what is a JNCIE? Okay, a JNCIE is an acronym that means Juniper Network Certified Internet Expert. So basically, it's a top level certification, actually the highest level certification in Juniper Networks, right, for a networking professional. So basically, in all certifications, there's always a hierarchy, right? So in any IT field, there's a certification hierarchy, right? There's beginner level, associate, specialist, professional, then expert, and everybody wants to get to expert because it's the most sought after certification, right? So there's a hierarchy, right? So in Juniper Networks, the expert level is the JNCIE, and that means that you're able to configure a network, troubleshoot a network, manage a network, right? Build a network from scratch. So like, and when you pass the exam, they give you a special number. So you're one of a few people in the world that has that special number. So a JNCIE is an expert level certification, most sought after certification, just like the CCIE too. So the JNCIE is a CCIE level exam certification, and also a Nokia service router architect certification level as well. So the JNCIE is different from other written examinations, right? So the difference between a JNCIE and other written examinations are the other examinations are written, while the JNCIE is a lab exam. So the other certifications I mean are in the Juniper hierarchy. They have a JNCIA, which is an associate level exam. It's entry level, just like the CCNA, and they have a JNCIS specialist level. They also have a JNCIP, and those ones are all written exams. So for the written exams, you go to Pearson VUE, go to an exam center, right, and you do like a multiple choice questions, right, and you answer them. So those are the written level exams. But the JNCIE is different. It's the lab exam, and this lab exam is you're actually going to, back in the day before COVID, right? You would go to a physical location, you know, back in the day when I did my JNCIE Enterprise, I did go to California to write the exam. So I go there physically, and I'm writing an exam and I'm configuring a lab topology, right? I'm building networks, right? And you're doing it, it's fully hands-on, right? So the JNCIE is hands-on lab environment, and it's a 6-hour exam for some tracks, and it's also an 8-hour exam for some tracks as well. Okay, so yeah, very, very, very prestigious examination. So at the end of the day, when you pass your JNCIE examination, you get a special number, right? And that number identifies you in the entire world as one of the few experts that exist in the world today. If you're studying for an expert level examination, it normally takes like, it depends on the person and the person's affinity for education and studying, because people are different, people study differently, right? So yeah, I think the average number of hours you would need to pass the expert level examination is like at least 1,000 hours of studying, of hands-on labbing, right? And that equates to about, maybe if you're studying like 40 hours a week for like 6 months, and that could be up. That should be up to 1,000 hours of study. And people are different. That might not be enough for some people, but yeah, basically average of at least it depends. Some people, it takes them 1 year to study, maybe 20 hours a week for 1 year, or even 2 years, right, or more. So it just depends on the person. So as for me, in September last year, I decided to take on the challenge to pass the exam. So Um, Now my strategy was the different ways of passing of studying for the expert level exam. Now, you can study through. I'm going to mention three ways basically, right? So now the fastest way is to study through a boot camp. If you take a boot camp, right? The boot camp is like a special online instructor-led training where different vendors offer it. Like Juniper, they have their own boot camps, and they have other affiliate vendors that offer boot camps as well. So that's the fastest way to get in your grind and pass the exam, and actually like walk towards passing the exam, because it's like a 1 week hardcore training, right? Where you have an instructor and they teach you, they go straight to the point and teach you everything you need to know, right? And they give you labs. So after the boot camp, you have a lab session that you can do real quick, right? So it gives you an idea of what the actual exam could look like, kind of like a mock examination. I didn't take a boot camp. I did not take a boot camp. I wish I did, right? It would have been easier, I guess. But yeah, people do boot camps. The only downside to a boot camp is it's expensive, So maybe a couple thousands of dollars, maybe ranging from $5,000 up or $4,000 up, So it just depends on your pocket. And if you're lucky to have your company to sponsor your boot camp, then that's awesome too, right? That's cool. But I didn't take a boot camp. So bootcamp is one of them. One approach you can use. Fastest way, expensive too, but it's fast. Another approach could be self-study. Self-study, and that has always been my motto. Everybody that knows me knows that I study a lot, right? So that has always been my motto: self-study. Now, self-study can be broken down into different order categories, right? Now, for example, for self-study, it depends on your pace and how fast you are. It could be advantageous and it could have some disadvantages too, because if you're self-studying, there isn't really a structure, so you can get distracted, friends, party, life things and everything. So for self-study, you can get a self-study bundle from Juniper. Now, as of 2020, I think I got the self-study bundle and it cost me $2,000 for that. I think right now the self-study bundle is about $600, approximately $600. It should be $599 or something. Well, basically, the self-study bundle from Juniper, it's awesome. It's like a workbook that like teaches you like everything about everything you need to know towards getting a JNCIE. So basically, it's like a workbook that talks about protocols, right? It visits every protocol and every section, right? If you want to know about IGPs, routing, right? It's going to have a section for routing, OSPF, ISIS. It's going to have a section for BGP, and it breaks down everything, and it actually teaches you about these protocols. So the workbook is really, really, really great because it teaches you stuff. It gives you more knowledge, and after learning about these protocols, there's a lab section where you're labbing. You're actually seeing these protocols live. It shows you the configurations and then shows you like how you can apply them. It shows you solutions too, right? So it gives you a question, a topology, a task. It can tell you, okay, I would like you to configure a service provider environment. I would like two I would like there to be two sites. Maybe I want you to build a layer 2 VPN between two sites, right? So that could be a task. Build a layer 2 VPN between two sites. And now in the workbook, it's going to show you how it's going to take the approach to solve the problem. It will show you all the configurations needed, right? And it will explain why they arrived at those answers. So the workbook was really, really awesome. And to be honest, that was my approach. That was how I studied for the examination. So when you pay for the self-study bundle from Juniper Networks, it literally has everything you need to study for the exam. It's gonna take you a while because it's self-study. It can take you a year of studying or even more, but it's awesome. Everything you need to know is in there. Just read, and if you have some questions, you can look up the Juniper documentation, right? And just look up some things, try and understand to get more knowledge, right? Basically, so that was my approach. I used the self-study bundle, and it was awesome.
So if you want to get the JNCIE Service Provider Certification Self-study bundle, just go to the Juniper Learning Portal, right? And the link should be in the description of this video. So basically, right now it costs $599. Back in the day, it cost $2,000 last year. Yeah. So what you're gonna get access to the course materials through an online secure PDF. And let me make this bigger. You're also gonna get a secure PDF workbook that shows like technology specific lessons and exercises. It's really, really good. It has like protocol explanations and stuff like that. Detailed workbook actually. And it also has two full labs, two JNCIE service provider practice examinations. They call it super labs. And that's really, really helpful. It's like really, really, I wouldn't say it's close to the real world, to the real exam, but it will help you get there, right? And they also offer 12 lab sessions that you can use for your study. When I got mine last year, I was only given 8 lab sessions, so I had to minimize it and manage it. So yeah, this is what you get from the self-study bundle. It's pretty cool, and this is part of the options I mentioned that could help you to study to pass the exam, right? Cool.
Now, another approach you can use for self-study is you can find an emulator. There are many emulators out there, like there's GNS3, there's EveNG. I would recommend those two. Now, as long as you can get a viable software image from Juniper, right? A virtual SRX or virtual MX, right? Or a virtual QFX. But basically, for the JNCIE service provider environment, you would need the virtual MX. That should suffice. So basically, if you can get the virtual MX image, right, and you can import that into GNS3 or EveNG, you're set to go, basically. So now you can build your own labs, your own home labs, right, virtually through GNS3 or EveNG, build your topologies, and you can study that way. But now that might be a longer approach, right, because that means you're going to be pacing yourself, right? You're building your own topology in GNS3 or in EveNG, and you're taking your time to consult the Juniper documentation to study, and there might be distractions. That's one approach. Or you can combine them in self-study option I'm giving you. You can also get the Juniper self-study bundle. You get their 8-hour labs that they give you. Plus, you can combine that with your own labs that you build in GNS3. So imagine you have a lot of access to, routing stuff, right? Configurations. So that might be the best approach for you if you would want to pass the examination. As for me, I did a lot of reading, a lot of studying, and I did a lot of labbing, but I was only limited to the 8-hour labs I could get from Juniper. So Juniper revamped their exam structure in 2020. They literally changed their material. They changed their lab. So it was actually a new version of JNCIE last year. And I think I was one of the first people to try it out. I was one of the first people that took the new Juniper examination, the new JNCIE in 2020. So basically, new questions, everything was brand new. It was scary, man. It was so scary. So, but I took it in December. My first attempt was in December, and yeah, I had studied a lot. I was already a dual IE, right? I had my ccie routing and switching. I had my JNCIE enterprise, so I wasn't really like afraid or terrified, right? Because I'm a dual IE, right? By then, so I take the examination, and now the examination is kind of different because now you're not going to. I took it virtually, so I took it, remotely in my house. So basically, Juniper has a way that you can take your examinations securely over the web. You don't have to go all the way to California to take the exam anymore. And this was because of COVID, post-COVID, right? But it's actually, I don't even know if it's even advantageous or better. It's still like a lot, it's a lot. So it got like you're taking the exam, remotely. You have to focus. So it's different from being in the actual examination hall. right? And it's just a lot of dynamics to that examination. There'll be another video where I'll explain my experience, on that day. But just know that my first attempt, mm, it wasn't great. I failed my first attempt, right? But it gave me a lot of experience to kind of like understand, what the topology looked like and stuff like that, and to calm my nerves. So that was it was fun though, So yeah, December took my first shot. I failed it. Okay, cool. Then I think in January I took it again. January or February, I can't remember. I think I'm losing count. I took it again, and I was close, but I failed. So okay, cool, cool. I had to regroup. So at that point in time, I had to just build myself a JNCIE lab at home, and I, got some images in JNCIE, and I labbed. For like a month, right? And I took the exam again, and this time around, I aced it. And the exam structure was I was pretty confident. The final time I took it, I was pretty confident, and I aced it. And it was fun. To be honest, it was fun taking the JNCIE service provider. In fact, it was so much fun. Like it was so real world relevant. Like all the questions they asked are very relevant. There's something you would see in the real world, something you would see in a service provider environment, right? So it was very, very relevant to the job, So I really enjoyed taking the JNCIE lab examination. So,
Now, talking about the service provider routing and switching expert, JNCIE SP Blueprint. Yeah, just go to juniper.net, check their training and certification information, and you can see details on that. So basically, the JNCIE Lab Exam is designed to validate your ability to implement, troubleshoot, and maintain Juniper Network service provider networks. It's a 6-hour format of an exam. It was formerly 8 hours. Some of them are still 8 hours. I think the data center JNCIE is 8 hours, but they reduced the service provider track to 6 hours. That's still a lot of hours, right, to build an entire network. Yeah, and the JNCIE SP is at the pinnacle of the service provider routing and switching certification track. So it's the best. Okay, cool. So this is the blueprint. You can see what the topics are like. Now, they're gonna talk about, it's divided into several sections. The first section is the device infrastructure. And in the exam, you will see stuff like device infrastructure, right? So you gotta study towards all this. You'll study system features, like syslog, user accounts, NTP, SNMP, AAA. You learn how to secure the control plane. Firewall filters, automation scripts, netconf, event options, like when you're doing a script with the Junos platform, right? You can also include Python scripts, commit scripts, event scripts, SNMP scripts. So that's all under device infrastructure. That's a big section in the examination. Another section is IGP, Interior Gateway Protocol, because you have to be an expert in IGPs as well. And it touches about two basic major IGPs, OSPF and ISIS, right? Because that's what you would see in a service provider environment. So you're going to learn and be an expert in configuration and troubleshooting, MTU issues, authentication, address issues, routing loops, routing policies. So basically, they give you a kind of like a prepared topology, right, with some routers pre-configured, right? So you go in, you configure the rest of the configuration, you answer questions, make features work, configure customers communicating to each other and things like that, right? So and you also troubleshoot. Another section is BGP. BGP is very, very big in the examination. So you got to be an expert in BGP as well. You have to know about configuration and troubleshooting border gateway protocol. And there's a lot of, the blueprint also mentions a few things underneath, a few topics on the BGP. Things like route reflection is big, multi-homing confederations, BGP adjacency formation. Confederations, well, I don't want to give you a sneak peek, but not a lot of companies use confederations, right? So just know that route reflection is really, really big. BGP path selection, load balancing, BGP attributes, routing policy, regex, route redistribution, BGP communities. Literally everything listed here is in the blueprints, and I would advise you to master all these technologies, all of them. And another section is MPLS. So for MPLS, yeah, MPLS is pretty big. So it lists all the features, right? All the topics under MPLS: seamless MPLS, LDP tunneling, IPv6 tunneling, RSVP signaling, LDP signaling, traffic engineering with MPLS, shared risk link group, RSVP bandwidth constraint configuration, TED database, right? IGP to BGP, administrative groups, ERO, fast reroutes, node and link protection, LDP protection, and LFAs. These are high availability techniques. So yeah, MPLS is pretty big in the examination. And you're also going to see stuff like about VPNs. So layer 3 VPNs, you're going to build one, or you can see layer 2 VPNs as well. You know, literally you got to master everything in the blueprint, because everything here is what you need to learn to be, you know, able to take the examination. So go to the juniper.net. The exam is very relevant, and it is you're going to see everything literally. So just master everything, right? Yeah. Also multicast. There's multicasts, and these are the topics we're supposed to master. Things like PIM, sparse mode, you know, next gen MVPN, Anycast RPs, and MSDP, and there's also class of service also. So master all these things, right? Yeah. So basically, go to the Juniper blueprints, and you can see all this information there as well.
Yeah, don't feel bad if you attempt the examination and you fail the first time. Don't feel bad if you attempt the examination and you fail the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time. No, the main thing is never give up. Hashtag put in the work. Hashtag lab every day. That should be your motto. Because in the IT field, it's all about, you know, continuous knowledge gathering, studying, and stuff like that, right? Because technology is always advancing and renewing, right? So remember, don't feel bad, because in the real world, when you're working in a company, they do what they call maintenances at night. So they could have a project when they're deploying several things. For example, you could be deploying a new IP core, right? Or you could be migrating traffic from one IP core to another, or from one link to another, right? Or you could be building a VPN for a customer, right? Or you could be tunneling and multicast from one path to another, right? Basically. But sometimes things go wrong in the maintenance window. And when you go into the maintenance window and things go wrong, they roll back. You roll back the configuration to avoid downtime, right? So if you cause an outage during the maintenance window and things went wrong, you know, you try to revert the change and roll back so that you can go back to the state of the network the way it was before you started the maintenance, right? So and that's normal. It happens, and that's also likened with taking the lab exam, because you know it's a lab exam and it's practical, right? And it's hands-on. There's a possibility you can attempt it and fail, but that's normal, because when you fail, you will learn from your mistakes. It's the lessons learned, right? Then when you learn from the lessons, when you learn from your mistakes, you figure out what went wrong. What went wrong? Okay, I should have done this better. I should have done this the other way. Then you try again. If I liken it to a real world experience, when the maintenance fails, you go back and review what you've done. You review what happened. You take a lot of logs, right? Syslog messages and a lot of information to figure out what happened. You review them up again. Then when you're ready and you feel like you've reviewed them up and you think you can go again, you reattempt the maintenance, right? So it's the same thing. So the JNCIE Lab exam is kind of similar. When you fail it, don't give up. Just all you need to do is review what you've done, learn from your mistakes, and try again. At the end of the day, what matters is you have your number and you become one of the elite engineers in the world. Yeah, so I've mentioned approaches, ways you can study for the exam. Oh, I forgot one thing. One more way is watching videos. Watch a lot of videos. There's a lot of technical information out there. Like I said, watching me today, you're watching me on YouTube, right? Yeah, that's technical information. Watch more videos. Go on a YouTube search and search for JNCIE related videos and watch them. That's a very good way of gaining knowledge and getting comfortable. And to be honest, the only way around passing the lab exam is to lab. You gotta lab every day. Like seriously, that's the only way you can pass the JNCIE examination. Lab so much that when someone wakes you up in the morning and asks you to configure a protocol, you can easily do it. Cool. Yeah. Another tip I have for you is create a schedule for yourself. So I know if you're doing self-study, it becomes difficult trying to organize yourself, because there's a lot of distractions like work, family, partying, friends, club, So create some schedule for yourself, like maybe study 20 hours a week, or even 10 hours a week, or even 4 hours a week. But there should be some schedule such that when it's time for you to study, you're studying. The more hours you put in a week, the sooner you can take the exam. And people are different. Some people study for 2 years, and 1 year. Remember, this is a lab examination, so you gotta configure, you gotta get used to it, until it becomes second nature. By the time you're taking the JNCIE lab exam, obviously you should have passed the JNCIE. So when you finally pass the JNCIE, a couple of weeks later, you get this package in your mail. And this is a nice looking plaque that shows Juniper Networks. It says certified expert, right? And it says your name and JNCIE. This is my JNCIE plaque for enterprise. So I'm yet to receive my plaque for service provider track, but I can't wait to see it. So yeah, you get a nice plaque like this, you get a nice number, and you're an expert. So pretty cool, right? Okay, yeah, I wish you guys the best. I hope you found value in this little talk that I had. And yeah, let me know how studying is going for you. Let me know how I can help. You can always shoot me a comment. I'm going to respond real quick, at most a week to respond. Send me an email. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel, because I'm gonna post a lot of videos every week, so just stay tuned to this channel. And I love you guys. Let me know how it is. Let me know your dreams. Let me know how I can help you become a network engineer. Okay, wish you good luck in your on your path towards becoming a JNCIE